This is Group SSR 107. This is our second episode of the podcast. Today's podcast is to make a movie review of the movie The Pursuit of Happyness. Now let's jump into the topic. The plot starts as a fairy tale in a realistic drag. The movie The Pursuit of Happyness is the story that you cannot simply ignore. Inspired by a true story, the film traces fleeting ups and frightening downs of Chris Gardner, whose efforts to keep his family from sinking into poverty evolve into a life and death struggle of social Darwining proportions. It's the early 1980s, and while Ronald Reagan is delivering the bad economic news on television, Chris is about to prove you don't need an army to fight the war on poverty. Just big smiles and smarts and really sturdy shoes. Following the Chris Gardner's life in poverty, the movie captures the sense of chaos and struggles he faces. Chris, as a single father, does anything and everything for his adorable son to keep him happy. Will Smith's acting along with his son Jaden Smith's acting makes the audience keep their eyes glued to the screen. A self-starter, Chris has sunk all of the family's money into costly medical scanners, and he tries to sell the doctors and hospitals. But the machines are overpriced and the sure thing he banked on has landed them in debt. Forced to work 2 shifts at a dead-end job, Linda angry smolders and then rages at Chris, which seems reasonably since he has gambled all of their savings on an exceptionally foolish enterprise. Given how often Chris breaks into a run on the streets of San Francisco, it's a good thing his shoes were well built, his lungs too. Written by Stephen Conrad and directed by Gabriel Mucchino, The Pursuit of Happyness recounts how Chris, plagued by some bad luck, a few stupid moves, and a shoe for a wife, Linda, Tandy Newton, loses his apartment and, with his 5-year-old Christopher, joins the ranks of the homeless, if not the hopeless. Evicted from the mainstream and bounced from shelter to shelter, Chris holds firm to his dignity, resolve, faith, love, and independence. His optimism sweeps through the film like a searchlight, scattering clouds and dark thoughts to the wind. Much of the film involves Chris' subsequent efforts to keep himself and his child housed and fed while he is enrolled in an unpaid internship program at a powerful stock brokerage firm. Bright and ferociously determined, Chris easily slides into this fantastic world of shouting men, ringing phones, gleaming surfaces, and benevolent bosses. He goes along to get along, and when one of his bosses asks for his money to pay for a cab, he quickly opens his wallet. Chris himself stiffs another working man for some money because that wallet is so light. This family movie is a breath of fresh air in a world of chaos and fast-paced materialism. It makes the audience empathize with the hard work and failures that Chris faces. From sleeping at a public restroom to chase a bus, the main character's efforts inspire the audience. Chris' optimism and spontaneous stride despite his situation can move viewers to heartfelt tears. The famous scene of Chris telling his son to never give up uplifts at all our spirits. Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something, not even me. People can't do something themselves. They wanna tell you you can't do it. If you want something, go get it. Period. Also, the movie reminds us of how short life truly is not to be as happy as we can be. We forget to be grateful in this fast-paced world, and this movie reminds us just that. Reality can break you, but it is up to you how do you deal with it all. Overall, the movie teaches that happiness is something that we often try to pursue when we miss the smaller happiness in our lives. This message in the movie was exactly what we all needed to hear. Thank you for listening.